Hello and welcome, and today I will be reading the Ladybird book of the story of Brexit. Britain is a proud island. For centuries we stood alone. Now we stand alone again. Other countries like Korea and Spain need to be part of Europe because they are clearly cowards. But our country is special, and other countries are queuing up to get what we have to offer, whether it is the music of Sting or any of our several mild cheeses. This is the future. Europe is a very different from Britain. For instance, their windows open inwards rather than outwards, and it is almost impossible to buy Monster Munch in Belgium. No wonder we could not get along. The British are known all over the world for keeping calm and carry-on films. Others envy our sense of humour. We do not get worked up. We behave with common sense and treat each other with polite, good manners. Brexit has been Britain at its best. Being in the European Union is terribly complicated. Leaving it is terribly complicated too. Luckily, the choice on the ballot paper did not look very complicated at all. It was something about freedom of bananas. Like a lot of his friends, Legge was not very interested in European fundamental politics. He did not know whether to vote for Remain or leave. He was hoping there would be a third option to kick the Prime Minister out of the window. He would have happily ticked that box. A lot of the arguments for staying in Europe were not very convincing. Some people called it Project Fear. But sometimes you have to take a risk for good things to happen. Leaving was the will of the people. Sighs Agatha's father. He voted to leave. Agatha voted to remain, but she feels the same way. It is the will of the people, she sighs. They stare at the ducks. They like the ducks. Ducks are better than the people. The Prime Minister arranged the referendum because he was sure everybody would want things to stay exactly as they were. But it turned out that not everybody was having as nice a time as the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister ran away. It was quite in the Prime Minister's shed. Brexit gave us lots of exciting new words like Brexiteers, Remainers, Bonamiers, Roverbots, birth relations, Remainer with us, Brexit Romanovus, Brexit girlfriend, revenge, Bruxotos, Romanovus and Bartavos. The new words make it harder for foreigners to understand what we are saying. In a tough new international business world, smart advertisers such as this can be crucial. Tess voted Remain. She spent the morning after the referendum trying to cheer herself up by watching a film from the good old days. she chose the film Fundera. Montgomery the Duchan Lord. Personally, Furness and his friend Sir William D. Furness were glad the public voted leave. Like so many landowners, newspaper barons, hedge fund managers, firebrand backbeach MPs, expat billionaires, and Russian oligarchs, they thought it was high time the ordinary people of Britain got a chance to send a strong message to an out-of-touch elite. The day after the referendum, Helen woke to discover that she shared her country with millions of simply awful people she had never met, who thought the exact opposite of her about most things. Helen wonders if there could be a referendum on those people leaving instead. Elaine makes lots of jam. The jam is sold all over the world. British jam is very popular. Brexit has made Elaine's job much easier. She can put whatever she likes in her jam and sell it to whoever she pleases. Without Elaine's jam, the British economy would collapse. Aldi and Lucy have not spent Christmas with Lucy's parents since they fell out very badly after the referendum. They had waited many years for a good reason to spend Christmas at home, so it wasn't all bad. Tamir's company sends and receives information from all over the world. While the information passes through the company's British office, it is British information and free of interfering European restrictions. As soon as it leaves the building, it is tied up in red tape again. But it is nice that it is free for a while. Vernon is not worried about foreign workers leaving. British people can mop up in hospitals and supervise varying conditions in abattoirs and stand in fields picking beans, he says. Vernon will not be doing those jobs himself, of course. He is 63. He is thinking of his nephew, Chumbo, who spends all day watching frontier gaming videos on Twitter. Gladys heard that lots of big companies were planning to leave Britain because they thought that Brexit might be bad for business. Gladys panicked. He relocated his bucket and spade shop from Southend Pier to Gassan in Switzerland. Brexit has certainly been bad for Gladys's business. Dinogili lives in Islington. He is a parliamentary private secretary at the Department for Excuses, the European Union. He has spent the last 2 years encouraging the will of the people. It is not the will of any people he actually knows, so he has not really done much towards it. Someone will work it out, he says to himself. They usually do. Bachelum owns a think tank called Identity Me, which has very close links to government. Identity Me proposed a super hard option called Concrete Brexit, which would have shut down all trade with Europe and had the unemployment figures in regional thunderdoms for twirls. Benjamin also owns this real tank, so he will probably be Fine, whatever. Marian applied for dual nationality because her mother is French. Marian has never been to France. I don't like garlic, she says. It smells of wet asparagus. Colonel Wills tells everybody that he has got his country back. He has even started a private military to deal with anybody trying to enter the village who does not know the fourth verse of the national anthem. In the first week, he had interred 38 undesirable types, including his own plumber. In the months leading up to the Brexit deadline, sensible people everywhere stockpiled water in cans in case the taps went off. A government bus drove around Britain bearing the slogan, "Only the idiots will go thirsty." A bus is a very good way to convince important information. The staff of Bollington's Wildgates have come on a works outing to the theatre. The play turns out to be a bit French. Half of them decide to leave. They say they have plans. They do not have plans, but they blame their friends who remain for running their knives. When the Nazis flew over the white cliffs of Dover, Britain fought bravely, with nobody to help except lots of pilots from Eastern Europe, Canada, Africa, the US of A, and the Caribbean. When we cracked the secrets of the Nazi Enigma code machine, we needed nothing but British intelligence and a Nazi Enigma code machine, stolen for us by some Polish spies. We stood alone before, we can do it again, can't we?